Yes, and at the same time waste so much opportunity, because
Yeah.
there is so much opportunity for growth and for actual real connection at scale. It can be done. I mean, I do talk about it in my framework, right? I wrote the authenticity unlock for a reason, but that's because it happened to me, right? Like I've never done better for myself in terms of content and in terms of just what I've been trying to build on LinkedIn than from the moment I started showing up as myself.
Your business's success depends on relationships, relationships with customers, relationships with employees, and relationships with stakeholders. What do they all have in common? They're all human. Because no matter if your business is B2B or B2C, it's really H to H, human to human. Welcome to the Human Connection Podcast. I'm your host, Karl Pontau. Each week I'll bring you stories, insights, and practical advice from experts that you can apply to your growing company and daily life. This week I'm really excited to connect with Romina Massa. She's a neurodivergent, human-centered AI marketing strategist, ghostwriter, and digital consultant with 20 years of experience helping brands grow with clarity, ethics, and emotional intelligence. She's the creator of the Authenticity Unlock framework and a fierce advocate for trust-driven, story-led marketing that converts without the performance. Congrats on helping brands grow with clarity, ethics, and emotional intelligence, and welcome to the Human Connection Podcast.
Hi, thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, so I'm really interested in exploring the idea of how companies can build trust at scale. Because I think so often companies, when they think of scaling, they think of doing a lot of these things that are kind of cutting corners or kind of automating things that end up eroding trust. So how do you see companies being able to build trust at scale?
So I think companies are going to be able to build trust at scale through people. You said it yourself in the intro, and I've heard Jasmine Alex say it very eloquently too. The whole H2H, human to human connection concept. There's no more B2B here. It's not about B2C. It's certainly not about B2B2C. It really should be an H2H relationship, and so companies are going to do that through their people. It should go through the voices of their leadership and the voices of their staff. And those are separate categories of strategies altogether. And they're all categories that lead with authentic, real, genuine, and human content.
And so, but a lot of companies, like the mindset is if we're relying on these people and scaling is really expensive because it's going to bring on more and more people to try and handle more and more business. So how do you find that kind of middle ground or like the sweet spot where you're still having those human connections, but it's at scale? How do you help people achieve that?
So I think for that this is where AI as a tool comes in, as a tool and not a replacement, right? So that is where you can continue to use, you don't need as many people to scale. You just need better tools. I myself, as a digital marketer who runs my own solopreneurship business, I'm able to do a lot more content than I was able to do maybe 5 years ago on my own, because I can automate a lot of my content processing processes and my writing processes and my content generation processes with AI. But I'm still here. There's still a strategist in the middle. There's still a human in the middle. And so while I am automating a lot and I may be able to write, say, 10 pieces of content instead of one in the same amount of time, all of those pieces of content have been processed humanly and ethically through me using AI tools much more quickly.
Yeah, I think there's and I've seen some, there's a news article maybe a month ago of a company that was getting into hot water they're making some AI sales tool. They're claiming they could, basically the AI would do all the selling. You didn't actually need a sales team involved of people. And they had some companies that had tried out their program for like a month. They had their logos on their website, like, here are some of our clients. When in reality, the companies they were using the logos up or said, oh, we tried your thing for a month, it didn't work. Stop saying we're your client, because sales without any people involved doesn't work.
It doesn't.
I think that's also because I think there's an idea we can remove the humans from the relationships or from the interactions, and it'll work better or faster. And this is not the case, because your audience is still human and they build trust with other humans, and they can tell when it's like, I've never bonded with a chat bot before, so like, and you can tell when like someone using like an AI comment on LinkedIn, just the way it's written, it comes across like that's not how people actually interact.
Yeah.
And so when there's this, I think this misconception that to scale, we need to remove the people from the equation, but if you take all the people out of a business, you don't have a business.
Literally. And I think you can have a much bigger business than you were able to have before, with far fewer people these days, because of the tools at our disposal. But you still need the people. The moment you think that you can just kind of set it and forget it, that is when you lose the trust in everything, in commenting, in engaging, even in liking posts. We have, I went mini viral on LinkedIn with one post about a viral comment liker that started getting called out. So this is a real guy. I won't say his name, but he is very famous across LinkedIn. And it was a very funny story because he truly exists. He's out there. He makes videos. He makes content. He's a growth hacker. So that's just what he does in marketing. But he clearly bought some kind of a bot that likes comments for him. And so, but people started noticing. And so suddenly you'd be like, so I guess it would target certain creators, but then there are certain creators like me. You don't expect a creators like me, that the people that post like 5 times a day, right? Like I'm a real kind of messy, chaotic human posting 5 times a day, right? And his AI doesn't account for the weirdos like me. And it's not just me. There's plenty of us, because the world is messy and the world is human and there's so many of us and we're all so different. And so a lot of people on LinkedIn started noticing that this guy would like every single comment that we made. And it started feeling very disingenuous, and everybody started realizing, what is this guy about? And everybody started writing about him, and the whole thing went viral. And I remember posting a screenshot of him liking about 7 comments of mine in a row. And I'm like, all right, dude, like nobody's this big of a fan. And so, and this post so people can tell even when you're not saying anything, they can call you out for a bot.
Yeah, and I think when you're trying, especially on a platform like LinkedIn, that's your people there to try and connect and to meet people and to build relationships. The idea of automating those sort of interactions, like comment bots and stuff, defeats the entire purpose, because if you're not there actually engaging the content and being yourself and showing up, then it ruins the trust, because no longer people don't believe you're real.
Exactly.
And actually, I've seen like I've seen an ad a couple times for an AI tool that supposedly like it'll scan someone's LinkedIn profile and start like doing outreach, like messages, like creating like your messages for you based on their profiles. And it's like, it seems like it's kind of missing the point of, like, if you want people to connect with you, you want to show people you understand them, you have to be there actually understanding them, because they end up interacting with you and all of a sudden you don't know what they're talking about, you haven't really read their profile because this AI thing did it for you. That interaction, you're just basically like, immediately they're going to tell you really didn't do it yourself, and it's suddenly kills that relationship because you just started it with a lie. And so it's you have to find that balance of, like I said, using the AI tools to enhance what people are doing with content or with like data management, or like kind of parsing and the data like collection and understanding stuff. But the minute you try and replace people from the relationship building side of things and the trust building, you immediately just shot yourself in the foot and then put it in your mouth, because
Oh yeah. It's
You're going to burn so many bridges and just look like an idiot.
yes, and at the same time waste so much opportunity because
Yeah.
there is so much opportunity for growth and for actual real connection at scale. It can be done. I mean, I do talk about it in my framework, right? I wrote the authenticity unlock for a reason, but that's because it happened to me, right? Like I've never done better for myself in terms of content and in terms of just what I'm trying to build on LinkedIn than from the moment I started showing up as myself. It was a complete night and day situation for me, showing up buttoned up versus showing up as I am and showing up within the, have you heard about the weird LinkedIn movement? The
I have
hashtag
not,
weird
but
LinkedIn?
Weird LinkedIn? No, I have not heard of that. Tell me more.
So it's a whole thing right now. It's called hashtag weird LinkedIn. The unofficial king of the movement is Nick Power. You probably have heard of Nick Power.
The name sounds familiar. Yeah, keep going.
He's a big deal right now on LinkedIn, and he is like the anti-LinkedIn, right? He's the anti-professional, and he does like kind of, things like he writes in no lower caps, but he also calls out billionaires all the time and corporations, and he's like, he makes a lot of social commentary in about 7 words on 4 lines, and he's making real waves. And he has become kind of like the header of a movement called Weird LinkedIn that also has other very big representatives like Gillian Richardson, right? Who is also known for showing up as herself. And the entire hashtag weird LinkedIn movement is just a bunch of people, and they really are all over the world, showing up as everything except work related on LinkedIn. And they're making a point to show up as weird as possible and as unhinged as possible. And if you do like literally search up that hashtag, you will find some stuff, because there's an entirely, a huge neurodivergency community within the weird LinkedIn community of, a lot of us just showing up and talking about just life and an experience. And there's people talking about Dungeons and Dragons, and people talking about like really literally everything they want, or like what kind of tea they like in the morning. And there's a lot of it shows the call for authenticity, right? The call for real, the call for people just showing up as themselves and showing that side that isn't wearing a suit, that isn't showing up for the 9 to 5, and that didn't kind of learn a leadership lesson from their toddler kind of thing. Because everybody's a little bit fed up with that kind of content right now, right? Like, oh, my leader.
Yeah, I think there's definitely like the emphasis or the focus on LinkedIn has been overly skewed towards this quote unquote professional view or professional facade.
Right.
And the problem is that isn't what people connect with. And if you're trying to really connect with people and build relationships, you need the cracks and the scuffs and the footholds, or like the toe hold, like the handholds where you can grab on. If it's just like a sheer mirrored surface of professionalism, people just bounce or slide right off it because you can't really get a grip to it.
Literally.
And so I think it's interesting, and I definitely will be checking that out. And I already have some people I want to connect you with based on what you've been talking about who might be good ambassadors for that movement as well.
Oh, yay.
But I think it's showing how, while those sort of discussions aren't considered like business discussions, but like it's important to have those, because any sort of business relationship requires 2 things. And this has basically been my almost like a mantra now, which is you need the mutually beneficial transactions, which is like rebar, and then you need the personal connection, which is like concrete. If you have one or the other, you're in trouble, because concrete alone is going to crack and fade, and just rebar isn't very comfortable to sit on.
Yeah.
Companies have a bunch of rebar sticking out of the ground and wonder why no one wants to sit on it very long. It's like, well, you're poking them in the butt and it's not comfortable, and so they leave. And so I think you need to like there's this. I think it's good that there's like a channel or like a movement on LinkedIn, this weird LinkedIn that's focusing on the more personal side of things, the more authentic. Like, this is the human side, and then there needs to be now like kind of this blending of the two where it's accepted,
Normal.
or like people are looking for the some business stuff and some personal stuff from the companies and the creators and the people that are active on the network, because that's what the real human business relationship is like. That you have the transactions, you have the personal side of things, and it's not, and that's the sort of connections that you can't get with just AI.
Exactly.
And so it's what makes doing business enjoyable is not just the work side, but it's the relationships you build while doing the work. The work can be fun as well, but if you're not enjoying the people around you, or there's
Exactly.
no one around you, you're not, the business isn't working. And so I like that there's more of that concentration of people who are bringing themselves more authentic and genuine to the platform. And I think it's overdue for more of that to be normalized in the business world, because
Exactly.
the human element of companies, of work, is what makes the businesses successful. It's not just the tools or the tech or the product. You really do
Exactly.
need the people.
That's another reason why, another big way, to continue answering your question of how do brands, how do companies build this trust at scale? Employee advocacy is another big way to do that. That is at scale. That is not the company producing content, but actually the staff producing the content or engaging with the company content. And that alone builds trust, because, and that is like at the core of the concept of employee advocacy, right? If you are going to be a brand on LinkedIn, which these days really companies don't have much room on social anyway, right? You want to really just connect with people. But if you're going to insist on being a company on LinkedIn, and if you want to show up as a company, you don't want to be a company with 5 employees. That's actually much bigger, right? Because that
Yeah.
doesn't give trust. If your own employees don't like you enough to show up and say, I work here, then nobody's going to trust you on the outside. And so you need a solid employee advocacy strategy from the inside, and internal communications where leadership talks to staff, where company pushes out content that staff shares, that staff proudly amplifies, because it speaks their truth and it speaks who they are. And so if the company speaks a language that the staff can relate with, and that actually sparks conversation, if the company is listening to its employees and it, paying attention, and the content actually reflects them in some way, that content is going to get amplified for free, voluntarily, and that is scale right there. That is an exponential audience.
Yeah, I think a lot of companies make the mistake of trying to control what their employees say on like social.
Can't do that. That is the biggest mistake.
Oh, you only post about basically our corporate speak, like press release stuff, and it just kills the trust, because people can tell that's not really that person saying it. And and so I think the companies need to empower their employees and actually create employee experiences where companies or the employees are actually happy to be advocates and talk about their experience. Exactly. And what they're doing and what they're proud about that their company is doing. And if they can't, then yeah, there's a big problem at the company with how they're treating their employees or where the business is being run. And it's
it all comes down to true humanity, right? Like, it's also like your own brand and company, who you are is going to reflect on how much trust you are able to ever build. Like, you also, if you're going to show up authentically as a brand, you better have something to show behind it as well, right? Like, you better not be, I don't know, performative during Pride. It's gonna have to be something that, like you said, people can actually legitimately sink their teeth into, that they're going to want to amplify.
Yeah, this is great examples of the mindset shift that companies need to go through in order to build trust at scale. Well, thank you so much for connecting with me today, Romina. If you enjoyed this episode of the Human Connection Podcast, please like, leave a review, and share it. If you'd like to connect with either of us, check out the links in the show notes. And remember, no matter if your business is B2B or B2C, it's really H to H, human to human. Happy connecting.